Let's begin this class on leadership and management by taking a broad look at the skills we'll be talking about soon in much greater detail. My favorite definition is from Peter Drucker, who you see in the drawing here on the right. He said, leadership is doing the right thing and management is doing it right. Take a moment to think about that. I think he's saying that leaders have a moral obligation to other people and that managers need to know how to get a job done. I think this is a great combination of duties and very reflective of the ideas we associate today with transformational leadership, too. Drucker is sometimes called the father of modern management. Peter Drucker was born in Vienna in 1909, and he died in California in 2005. He received a doctoral degree in public and international law from Frankfurt, Germany, and moved to the U.S. in 1937, right in the middle of the Depression, after he decided that he didn't want to practice law and he wanted to work more with people and to help people be happier on the job. He decided to study business at NYU Graduate Business School, partly because the whole field of management studies didn't exist yet. It didn't exist yet because he hadn't yet brought it into existence. Later, with his thinking and his writing, he essentially built the field of modern management thinking. After graduate school in New York, and in the 70s, years later, he moved to Claremont College in California, where he spent the remainder of his career. Peter Drucker predicted many, many trends, and he initiated many of them as well. One of the most famous things that he's known for was predicting in the 1970s what would later become known as the new economy. It's a reality that we live with today, and he predicted way back then that knowledge and information technology were slowly going to overcome production and the use of raw materials to produce goods. It's what we call today the knowledge revolution. He also believed that you needed to learn both management and leadership skills to be a good leader. In fact, as you can see from the quotation that follows, he believed that you needed to be a good manager first before you should even attempt to be a good leader. Here's that quote. "Those who seek to lead but fail to manage are not relevant to their organizations or to their societies." So with Drucker in mind, let's look a little bit more closely at the skills of leading and managing. In this course, we use the Management Sciences for Health framework of leading and managing. MSH, as they're known, has defined leadership as enabling groups of people to face challenges and achieve results in complex conditions. The key concepts to pay attention to here are enabling other people, achieving results, and working in complex environments. Enabling others reflects the idea from transformational leadership that it's followers who allow us to lead them, and that we have an obligation to help those people grow and succeed on their own jobs. This is what enabling others refers to. Achieving results is the central part of this definition, actually, and something that we'll talk about more specifically in this course. It means using monitoring and evaluation data and other types of data to make better decisions as a leader and a manager so that you achieve stronger, more positive outcomes. Drucker also wrote, "Effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not by attributes." And there's probably very little doubt for all of us that we work in complex environments in public health. In fact, the World Health Organization uses a framework that illustrates the many key elements of the complex systems within which we work. Let's take a look at that WHO model. The WHO Health Systems Framework was developed in 2007 to promote a common understanding of what actions constitute health system strengthening. On the left side of this illustration are the building blocks for keeping our promise to the public for delivering effective health services. Those promises are shown on the right and include improving health, being responsive to the public, managing risk, and improving our efficiency. The building blocks on the left define the important elements of the health system. They include the services we provide, the workforce that allows us to deliver those services, and the information that's needed for us all to work effectively. They also include the products, the vaccines, the technologies, whatever we need to serve our citizens, and it also includes the financing that fuels the systems that we work in. But most important to us in this class is that final building block on the left, showing leadership and governance. According to WHO, leadership and governance are actually more than just one of the 6 building blocks for a well-functioning health system. They are, in fact, the central component of health system strengthening around which the other 5 building blocks revolve. You can see that illustrated in the slide from WHO. What they're saying here is that leadership is the essential component of the health system strengthening framework. So with this WHO framework in mind, let's look next at the MSH framework called Leading and Managing Behaviors. This will break down for us the specific kinds of skills that we'll be practicing in this class. This course relies heavily upon the Leading and Managing framework created by MSH, as you've noticed already. In this handout, which is available to you on the course website, leading and managing skills are broken into 2 columns. The leading skills include scanning behaviors, focusing, aligning and mobilizing, and inspiring. The managing skills include planning, organizing, implementing, and monitoring and evaluating. We'll talk more about each of these, but first let's look at the results that we're after when we train on good leadership and management skills, since really that is the central point of all the skill building when you get right down to it. This model, also from MSH, shows the link between these skills and practices and the improved health outcomes that we're after. The purpose of effective leadership management in health is to improve health outcomes. This is the whole point of training on skill building. On the left are the practices I just showed you in the previous slide. By applying these 8 practices consistently, we build strong organizational capacity. This capacity is represented in the circles in the middle of the model. They're the core components of strong and well-functioning organizations and include an improved work climate, improved management systems, and improved capacity to respond to change. These 3 results lead to improved services and improved health outcomes, very similar to the expected outcomes that were defined in the WHO Health Systems Framework, in fact. Looking more closely at the skills now before we end our session, think about where your strengths and weaknesses currently are. Where do you need to practice more? Think about this because you'll be doing some self-assessment work on these skills very shortly. The leading skills include scanning. Scanning means understanding your stakeholders, being able to see trends, opportunities, and risks on the horizon, looking out for best practices, and knowing yourself, your organization, and your stakeholders. Notice that every skill has an anticipated outcome. As a result of scanning, people should have up-to-date, valid knowledge of their clients, the organization, and the context in which the organization operates. They should know how their own behavior affects others. Focusing, the second skill, means being able to articulate the mission and the strategies of the organization for the people that work in it. Identifying the critical challenges that face the organization. Focusing also means showing people how strategies are linked to your outcome goals. It means determining what priorities you should fund for achieving those goals. And it means creating a common picture of what you're all after, what those goals are. As a result of focusing, the organization's work should be directed by a well-defined mission, strategy, and priorities. The third leading skill in the MSH model is aligning or mobilizing. It means ensuring that the organization is consistent in what it values and how it acts. Aligning or mobilizing means that the organization and the leader is careful to be sure that the values and how the organization acts are in alignment. Alignment also means facilitating teamwork, getting people on the same page, working towards the same goal. It means uniting your stakeholders around a vision that inspires them and enlisting those people to commit resources to the organization. As a result of aligning and mobilizing, your stakeholders, both your staff and your outside stakeholders, should be able to understand and support your organization's goals and mobilize resources to reach those goals. The fourth leading behavior in this model is inspiring, and that means showing that you act in accordance with your words, that there's congruence between what you say and what you do. It means demonstrating honesty in your interactions with others, showing trust and confidence in your staff, and acknowledging the contribution that those other people make. Inspiring people means providing them with challenges, with feedback, with the kind of support they need to succeed, and it means being a role model. As a result of inspiring, your organization can display a climate of continuous learning, and your staff show commitment even when times are tough and setbacks occur. Let's look next at the managing behaviors in this model. These are probably more familiar to most of you. Managing includes planning, trying to achieve a set of intentional results, organizing the processes, the resources, the people, the structures that you need in order to achieve those results. It means implementing activities and expediting efforts so that everyone can contribute maximally to the results you're trying to achieve. And it means monitoring and evaluating your activities against your plans and using feedback so that you're making adjustments to those plans and looking at how best to get to your results. Like the leadership skills, each of the management skills also has an ideal organizational outcome. You'll be learning about those outcomes more in your reading assignment. Let's finish this unit lecture with a quote from another great writer on management theory. His name was John Kotter. John Kotter said, "Leadership and management are two distinctive and complementary systems of action. Each has its own function and characteristic activities. Both are necessary for success in an increasingly complex and volatile environment." I think there's little doubt that our world is increasingly complex and volatile. Think for a moment now about this statement that he made. Why would it be necessary to be good at both leadership and management in order to address an increasingly complex work environment? I'll be posing this question in particular for you on the discussion board for this week. In closing, and before you turn to the other assignments that accompany this lecture, let's summarize the key ideas from today. 1. Leadership and management are complementary skills that can be learned. 2. Effective leadership and management are focused on achieving results. 3. Leadership can occur at any level of an organization, and in fact you want it to. 4. Followers confer real leadership upon others. 5. Leadership takes self-knowledge, and self-knowledge takes courage. And 6, a quote from Nelson Mandela, "Courage is not the absence of fear." I'd like to thank you for your attention during this lecture. Thank you.